When will the next recession start? Is Earth flat? Will the big JC come back before GTA 6? Will Elon send Kai Cenat to space?
Yo, check!
For centuries, man has toiled over these and other real questions. But recently, man's become a total moron about spending money on them. You've already heard about this. Gambling has taken over.
What is this?
Winning one, I'm winner!
Holy bank balance! I won the jackpot! I won!
According to one estimate, there's now a quarter of us gambling every single day here in the US. We're at the point now where hundreds of billions of dollars are wagered every year, and the consequences of all this, turns out, aren't that pretty.
The worst epidemic of addiction that the world has ever seen.
FanDuel is a portal to hell, and they're screwing an entire generation of young men.
My son just asked me like a month ago, was like, hey, can I get like $100 to bet on sports? No. It's like, what?
For starters, 2.5 million Americans now have a severe gambling problem, and there's a couple million more that are teetering on the edge. In states where sports betting has been legalized, bankruptcies have shot up by about a third. And that's not all. A recent study by the Lancet found that, increasingly, gamblers are missing mortgage payments more often than non-gamblers, are more likely to lose their jobs, are more likely to commit acts of domestic violence, and are, across the board, experiencing higher rates of both depression and suicidality.
One of the top causes for suicide, gambling addiction.
Research by the University of Bristol found among 20-year-olds, problem gamblers had quadruple the risk of attempting suicide compared to people who don't gamble.
I know this is all a bit preachy, but I wanted to get it out on the table before we get to the rest of the video, because we're gonna lose track of all that as we go deeper on this topic. Gambling can be really devastating, and the more it becomes popular, the more people are affected by that. But gambling can also be fun, and not a big deal, and just a regular boring vice like smoking or drinking. It isn't necessarily good, but, you know, it's not the end of the world. I've had poker nights with friends. I've played the lottery. I've flipped boosters on eBay to make a 12-year-old cry. Gambling doesn't make me, you, a bad person. But it does make for a bad economy.
No! I lost it all!
We are a country with a gambling problem. And this video isn't going to be about whether or not you should gamble. I don't care. This video is not about gamblers. It's about the gambling industry and the money and power that's been expended to make sure that you gamble. And more importantly, that you lose. All right, quick plug, then we'll get back to it. As always, want to respect your time, so here's a timestamp to skip ahead if you're not interested or not able to support the channel. I've said this before, but it's worth repeating. This show runs on viewer support. That's just the reality of doing this kind of work. There aren't a lot of companies lining up to fund openly socialist content, and even when they do, that's not something I want to depend on long term, because at the end of the day, if your funding comes from corporations, there's always going to be pressure there. And sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's really not, but it's never on your terms. So the alternative is pretty straightforward. If we want this kind of content to exist, it has to be supported directly by the people who actually watch it. If you're in a position to help out, Patreon is the easiest way to do that. You get some nice perks too, including early access to ad-free versions of every video, and access to our patrons-only Discord server, complete with book club. And then there's Means TV, which I've been really working hard to help build these last couple of years. Means is a worker-owned streaming platform. That means no ads, no corporate oversight, just normal people trying to build something that actually reflects the politics we talk about here. I've been posting some extra stuff there already, including like 15 minutes of extra content for every single video, and we have some bigger projects on the way too. Now, no pressure, obviously. Watching and sharing the videos helps a lot on its own, but if you do want to go a step further and help make sure that Second Thought stays afloat, these are the best ways to do it. For those of you who are already supporting us financially, and those who are on the fence, thank you so much. It really does mean the world to us. All right, that's it. Back to the video.
Anytime anyone said the word bet, something came over me. I just have to bet. I couldn't help myself.
Woohoo! Jackpot!
This all started about 8 years ago. Of course, the US has had gambling pretty much forever, but back in 2018, the Supreme Court struck down a 26-year nationwide ban on sports gambling. And that fundamentally changed the US.
The ads are everywhere.
Whoa!
Come on, boys! So let's make it interesting.
Sports books, such as those offered by DraftKings and FanDuel, took in $150 billion worth of bets in 2024.
Oh my God! I just won $117,000! Oh my God!
Right, yes. So listen, what the hell was that?
For the last couple decades, it used to be that you could pretty much only legally gamble, especially on sports, in Vegas and a choice few cities.
Come as you are to downtown Casino Center of the all-new Las Vegas Club Hotel Casino and the elegant but casual Stadium Club.
But unless you lived on the Strip, gambling was contained and small enough that it wasn't going to take over your life. In this context, sports betting was a small-ish business.
Tell you what, put a sawbuck on Captain Nemo in the third at Belmont.
In many cases, it actually served as a loss leader for casinos. Sports leagues were pretty strongly against it, and all that meant that it wasn't hugely popular. You had to make an effort. It wasn't an everyday thing. It ruined or improved relatively few lives. But that's not where we are now.
New Jersey won a landmark ruling from the Supreme Court on Monday, allowing the state to legalize sports betting.
Flash forward a few years, and all of a sudden, 38 out of 50 states have now legalized sports betting. That Supreme Court decision swept through the country, and it's now actually harder to find somewhere that you can't gamble than somewhere you can. Not only that, in the last 8 years, most states didn't just legalize sports betting, but specifically online sports betting, making it so gambling is not just easy, but it's now a daily practice for millions of people the way checking the news might be.
Oh my God, if I get one more yard, I'll win my bet. I win my bet. Yes, go. Bro, go. I need one more yard. Bro, where you going? Bro, stop.
This is when FanDuel and DraftKings took over. I remember for a while, but honestly, still today, actually, you couldn't watch anything without Post Malone, Charles Barkley, Kevin Hart, actually, promising crazy payouts for small bets made directly on your phone.
Oh, look, wait a minute. There's my $200. That was fast.
The promises in these ads were pretty simple.
Jackpot, baby.
Life rocks when you're loaded. Look how easy it is to gamble your way there. You're already a genius because you love sports, and, worst case, you just had a more exciting and emotionally investing watching experience. This message was everywhere, because not only did FanDuel and DraftKings rake in billions of dollars of revenue, but sports leagues found out that gambling gave people an extra incentive to watch off-season and less popular games. If a good chunk of rent is riding on a random away game, you're gonna tune in when you might not have before. So broadcasters started putting odds right on the screen. Retired athletes became glorified gambling consultants on major networks. Sports leagues had official partnerships with betting apps. Channels had their own gambling websites. And the number of things you could bet on just kept growing. Nowadays, log into FanDuel and you're not just betting on who's gonna win or what the final score is gonna be, the way sports betting in Vegas used to be. You can now gamble on individual players' stats, yards rushed, receptions, rebounds, assists, and not just in major sports leagues either. Almost any international game, Ukrainian ping pong, Russian basketball, it's all out there, somewhere, easy to gamble on. And then there's the parlays. If you want to stack any random bets into a 5-leg dice roll, you can. The margins are horrible, they give the house an enormous edge, but if it hits, $5 got you $300, and that is incredibly appealing. The advent of sports betting has been paradigm shifting for government tax revenue, sports broadcasting, and sports watching, and it's had some pretty bad consequences. And not just all the things we've already addressed. Since 2018, we've seen players and coaches rigging games for sports bet payouts. Allegedly. Fans have also been harassing players when their bets don't hit, which is new. and it's almost certainly the biggest single cause behind our national gambling problems. Like with the bankruptcies, it's in the states where sports betting took off that the greatest increase in Google searches for help with gambling addiction also went up. But I'm not gonna lie, we're sort of breezing through this because, for how bad sports gambling has become, I think we're all roughly aware of it, right? You probably have personal experience with these apps, either goading you into betting more with free money after a string of bad luck, or kicking you off and limiting your bets when you do too well. Sports betting is the very visible tip of this iceberg. But have you heard about the world of 6-7 slot machines? Since sports betting took off, there's been a gold rush on monetizing gambling addictions now that they're so widespread. More and more companies are now in the business of finding whatever brain rot, moonshot, crackpot bet is going to bring the most desperate gamblers in.
We all know a friend who struggles with online gambling.
A friend who's on the verge of losing everything. His house, his family, his entire life.
And now you can bet on exactly how he'll lose it all
with Rock Bottom Kings.
And in the casino-style game world, that effort is epitomized by companies like Stake. They're the ones behind that 6-7 game, and for the past few years, they've become the main reference in online casinos. Slots, Plinko, the platform has like 4,000 ways to gamble, and the reason you've probably already heard of them before is because the company has spent years now getting mainstream attention, most notably by paying streamers and Drake,
cheers to each and every one of you,
millions of dollars to gamble the company's money on stream for their audiences of, let's be real, mostly children. These sponsored streams often feature huge stakes, multi-million-dollar wins, and truly degenerate, glassy-eyed gambling by millionaires who don't have to worry about losing either their own or their sponsors' money. This all gives a pretty skewed idea of how fun or risky gambling is. And what's worse, all these streamers aren't just purely endorsing gambling as if it was another ad read. According to a recent article in the New York Times, while big streamers popularized online gambling, there's a whole ecosystem of smaller creators who are sponsored by gambling sites and depend on affiliate link and referral code signups to get paid. So even though every gambling stream starts with them telling their audience not to gamble, that they're going to lose, that you shouldn't do it if you're not 21, the next 6 hours of non-stop slot slop is there to get signups. And there's good evidence that this strategy has paid off. According to data shared with Forbes, Stake made $4.7 billion in revenue in 2024, more than what MGM made at all of its Vegas locations combined. But Stake still has a bit of a reputation problem. It's popular, but its association with the alt-right through its streaming platform Kick doesn't give it the best name. But then there's the world of prediction markets. We've already sort of touched on them in this video. It's the Kalshis and the poly markets, places online where this logic has been taken a step further, and you can take bets on truly anything from sports to politics to general pop culture events.
The Oscar goes to one battle after another.
Just like Stake, these guys are becoming huge economic players. $1 billion gets traded on Kalshi a week these days, and a few months ago, their valuation went up to $11 billion, while Polymarkets is now at $12 billion. Plus, they have a partnership with the New York Stock Exchange. Like with Stake, these companies have gotten to where they are by riding the sports betting wave and being promoted on streams. But unlike the sports betting industry, which is legally shitty most of the time, these guys have gotten to where they are by exploiting legal loopholes. Most of the gambling on Stake.com, for example, is illegal in the US. To get around this, Stake is technically based out of Curacao and has a US-specific website, Stake.us, which is aggressively pared down and more compliant with US law. But people aren't using Stake.us. This dual setup they have lets the company advertise to Americans, knowing full well that most of these gamblers are absolutely not going to the baby URL and just getting a VPN to play with the real thing. Politicians have not caught up to tech this basic, so there's very little regulatory oversight of all this. And if that wasn't enough, the way this company operates as close to legality as possible, despite not having a gambling license anywhere in the country, is through a loophole in American no purchase necessary sweepstake law. Sweepstakes are legal so long as they don't require you to buy anything. So to qualify as a no purchase necessary sweepstake, Stake has built a little two-tiered digital currency system. There's gold, which you can buy like you would V-Bucks and can use to place bets on games just for fun, but it can't be cashed out for real money. But then there's stake cash, which comes free as a quote-unquote bonus with any purchase of gold. But unlike gold, stake cash can be exchanged for real cash or crypto. Because you can't purchase it directly, even though you basically did, it's technically a free entry and not breaking the law. Kalshi and Polymarket are running a similar racket. Even though no one would call betting on what Ariana Grande says on Fallon anything but straight up gambling, a very slopified kind at that, these companies and their CEOs are adamant that they are doing something else entirely. They call their services prediction markets. These guys argue that because they've got no stake in the outcome of any given bet, they're more like the stock exchange than a casino or a bookie. They just take a quick fee, no big deal. What's more, they argue that prediction markets are different from gambling because they're really there to provide us with more information about future events, like a poll, just more accurate somehow. This little workaround has let the company expand across the US, even though, as we already saw, the bread and butter of companies like Kalshi is the same thing that everyone else is doing: sports betting. They are selling the same product, get rich quick, making a better bet than some poor sucker. It's like crypto and NFTs. Con men keep telling everyone it has all these great applications, and it's gonna solve fiat currency and fix the art world and change everything forever, and then in real life, all anyone does with it is buy low and sell high, or try to at least. Because those same con men are perpetually running rug pulls on retail traders getting in with the hope of a lucky investment. And look at that! Crypto is the second biggest category on these things, at least for now. Because at some point, the goal of these companies is for gambling to be literally everywhere, to become a part of every aspect of your life.
The long-term vision is to financialize everything and create a tradable asset out of any difference in opinion.
There's no better proof that this is just the new scam than what Trump is doing. First, crypto with Trump Coin. Now the president is launching his own prediction market service right on Truth Social. You can now bet on elections right on the app controlled by a sitting president who has no stake in the game whatsoever, nor any desire to use this new legally ambiguous stream of revenue as a way to finance personal favors or access. That would be unconscionable, of course. But even though this new way of gambling looks just like the old ones, it's different in that prediction markets are benefiting from much more mainstream legitimacy than crypto ever did. Recently, CNN has confirmed that Kalshi bets are going to be an integral part of its reporting, and to some extent, replace their polls. Not only that, Donald Trump Jr. is an advisor for both Polymarket and Kalshi. If there's any question why federal regulators aren't tearing through prediction market apps, the president's family and the president himself having a stake in the game might have something to do with it. This is doubly problematic because as all these systems merge together, news, gambling, political power, the consequences of insider trading and market manipulation that is inherent to these apps becomes much greater than just a simple money grab. And there's a huge part of this that is vulnerable to insider trading. These guys say so themselves.
But predictive markets do rely on someone having some inside information.
Mm-hmm. It's sort of an inevitability that this will happen, and there's a lot of benefits from it, and people will adapt.
If a bet on a prediction market app can be doctored by an inside trader, sanctioned by a senior company official, then transformed into a headline in a reputable news outlet, and then recycled back into policy because it's become a topic in the public discourse, you now have a closed loop for those with power to gain even more wealth and control while also having the nifty side effect of bleeding gambling addicts dry. Why buy ads if you have an even more reputable way of communicating that you're going to win, sanctioned by news outlets, and that doesn't require asking normal people for their thoughts? Why run a kleptocracy the hard way, with lobbying think tanks and all that mess, when you can just be in bed with the casinos? It worked for Batista. Why not for our autocrats? And look, I get why all this is popular, especially for the young white guys in their late teens, 20s, and early 30s who are the biggest demographic for this stuff. All the guarantees of middle-class life you could have come to expect as a white dude, the upward mobility of a college education, the predictability of career advancement at a stable job, the manageable cost of housing and healthcare, that's all gone. It's gone for everyone, but we expected it most. So if everything in your life is trending downwards and the prospects are getting slimmer as capitalism keeps more and more wealth at the top, gambling offers a narrative of hope that you can still get your hockey stick graph. You can still have your American dream. And that's powerfully attractive even though we know these things are scams. They're barely hiding it. Too many ads, too many celebrities, too many streamers have convinced people that, yeah, sure, it is a scam, but you can join the pyramid scheme at just the right time to sucker everyone else below. You're smarter, you know more about sports or politics or Ariana Grande, even though the truth is there is no winning for anyone but those in charge of these apps. Most people lose. Look, gamble if you want. It's fun, it's stupid, but make no mistake. Getting into it thinking it's going to be your ticket to the top is setting you down a path where you are not in control and the odds are stacked against you from day one. It's happening to everyone else. It will happen to you. And at the end of the day, it's only going to make the con artists better off.